Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Kaizen Spotlight, where we have these wonderful conversations with Kaizen champions. And this morning, joining me all the way from Nairobi, Kenya, is Mr. Sachin Gutka, and a very bright good morning to you, sir. Thank you very much for sharing your time.
Morning, Jayant. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Mr. Gutka. He's, of course, accountant, a chartered accountant by training, but he spent bulk of his career in the packaging industry. And he's been associated with a lot of organizations. He has promoted a lot of organizations in this domain. And he is the MD of Interlabels. He is also promoted a group called the Print Exchange, which is a very interesting concept. He sits on various boards, including he was a past chairman of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. He's on the board of the Kenya Power and Lighting Corporation, the company, and he's associated with the East African business community, etc. Very tall personality. Will take all my time away today if I go into formal introductions. Sir, thank you for your time. And my first question to you is what, at a very personal level, strikes you about Kaizen? That's the first question that I would want you to reflect.
I think, thank you, Jayant-san, for the kind intro. Humbled to be one of your interviewees today. Thank you. And
Thank you.
for me, basically, I think Kaizen's got to be the principle with which any organization has needs to operate and live by. It's a process of continual improvement. You can call it lean or Six
Operational
Sigma or
excellence.
Kaizen and so on. So at the end of the day, it's all about operational excellence and continuing to improve yourself. Not only on the shop floor, also very much so at the management levels, and making sure that even in any service organization, the Kaizen principles are adopted and breathed and really driven through. And without the buy-in of top management and at people at the board level, you really won't get acceptance at the lower levels as well.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Gutka, I remember very clearly that when you were putting the Print Exchange together, it was a coming together of several organizations. You decided to look at lean factory design. Can you tell me why did you think that it would be beneficial for you to look at it, and what has been the takeaway by adopting the lean factory design?
Thanks, Jansan. What we looked at when we were crafting the merger together of six print companies in Nairobi, we were all operating from six print shops, and we had the opportunity to create one workshop, which would be a model workshop. We'd stock the six print shops and create one big workshop. And we needed to have the right workflows, the right design in terms of Kaizen from the beginning, and that's what we ended up achieving. So it's given us. It took about 4 to 6 weeks of management time in terms of designing and planning all the workflows and putting things in place, but it was well worth it. And right now we've got a really good state of the art factory with linear workflows. So happy to have done that. To be honest, there are definitely many more benefits than challenges. And I think at the end of the day, if the will is there from the leadership to drive operational excellence, this is got to be the way forward. At the end of the day, it's very difficult to get people to increase their selling prices, in which case you've got to be more competitive. In order to be more
Yeah.
competitive, you've got to keep on driving operational excellence. And if, for example, if you need to be exporting to other countries in the region and so on, that operational excellence is a very necessary catalyst for the business. So I don't think there have been too many challenges. I think it's about the adoption rate. I think, Jensen, in Kenya, there may have been more than over 100 companies that have already
Yeah,
done this. So a lot of people, in fact, most companies who've embarked on the journey do not stop. They continue improving, and they'll go from the kind of the basics to the medium level, and then some companies are very much at the advanced level as well. So I
correct.
think at the end of the day, once you've started to breathe the culture, you need to make sure that it continues basically.
Absolutely, because it's not a destination; it's a journey of continual improvement. And I remember in a recent conversation, somebody posed a question: why should we pursue continual improvement? And I think there was the simplest answer you can think of is because our problems and challenges are also continual in nature, right? And there's not a
Yes.
single day, a single shift, if you talk of a factory, or a single quarter that goes by without challenges. And look at the COVID situation. Nobody saw it coming a year ago, right? And it's turned the whole
Yeah.
world upside down. Um, so there is a challenge, and either companies emerge stronger from this challenge, or some will, sort of crumble and collapse. And you can take away good or bad from this. So again, sir, with your vast experience as an industry leader, this is really my last question. What do you think is the message that you would like to give to all those industries and entrepreneurs who are probably grappling with this situation? Any message, any inspiring thoughts from your end?
I think a few things. First and foremost is to have the health and safety of the families and employees uppermost in leadership's minds. So having a good workplace, a clean, sanitized workplace, a good environment, and creating the ability, including kind of trying to enforce the separation, 1.5 meter separation, and so on. So equip them with everything in which to be able to do their job safely and productively. The second thing is basically not to continue using COVID as an excuse for lack of business. I think really there is business out there. It will need a different mindset, different challenges to look at. But when people come and tell me, oh, there's no business out there, I always say to them, there is, and you need to look for the pockets of opportunity within there, and redouble your efforts to get in the revenues to drive your business. The third thing is create a sustainable cost base.
Yeah.
And creating a sustainable cost base includes obviously continuing the operational excellence, but at the end of the day, it's learning to do more with less. And
Absolutely.
that continual improvement is necessary, but the sustainable cost base will be essential, at least for the next few years. So whatever emergency measures people have put in place, it's important not to let them be frittered away next year in terms of, oh, let's start spending on this and things. So just to be careful about spending as well.
Right. So there you have, viewers, a very interesting, insightful message from Mr. Sachin Gutka. It's not only operational excellence and tightening your, controlling your expenses is not only good during this kind of pandemic times, but it is a culture that you have to live by, even in good times. And I remember somebody mentioning that suddenly immunity is a buzzword. Everybody is looking at immunity today, right? They're looking at tea and ginger and garlic and what have you for immunity. But a very important question is, why immunity now when you have a challenge at your doorstep? Why didn't you think of immunity, years ago? Unfortunately, 80% of organizations only look at improvements when there's a crisis, and only 20% are proactive. So do you want to be among that 20%, or be part of the larger 80% who are more reactive when it comes to improvement? That's the question I'm going to leave with all of you to ponder. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your valuable time, and we really appreciate it. And we'll catch up with you again in another round of conversations later. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.